I always remember what Hassan Nasrallah said back in 2006 after the Israel-Lebanon war then. He said, if I knew then what I know now, I'm not sure I would have started this. And I have to believe, all important politics in the Middle East, maybe everywhere, but I know in the Middle East, doesn't happen bukra. It happens bad bukra. Okay. So the day after they will say, Thawrahat Nasr, Samidun, we won, we blah, 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 blah. It's very hard for me to be able to say which one is the objective. We've heard regime change, we've heard not regime change. We've heard military, uh, total military defeat. We've heard surrender. We've heard denuclearization. So it's hard for me to know exactly what the ultimate goal is because it seems to be changing every day. What isn't changing, though, is I would say, ferocity of the joint American and Israeli attacks on Iran, which seem designed to destroy every last shred of its nuclear enrichment capability, and its missile making capability. Where they are on that, I don't know. But when the smoke clears, I suspect Iran will be radically diminished militarily. Where it will be politically, I just don't know. Well, it was something really I just invented in my head because once you've decapitated the regime and you leave just a small rump left, the question is that rump capable of negotiating on behalf of Iran um, uh, or not, in which case not. There is no people's government right now. There is no coherent opposition group. There is no clear-cut opposition leader. And so I think at some point, the Americans and Israelis will run out of targets, and basically um, uh, and have to decide, well, what do we do now? There's really nothing left to bomb. Yet we'd like the war to stop. Who do we talk to? And when that happens, I would suspect there have to be reformers within the um, current government. We know people like Rouhani, Javad Zarif, from the past, who surely are saying to themselves and to the hardliners, um, look what a mess you got us into. I mean, we've lost all of our nuclear enrichment capability. We've lost all of our Navy. We've lost, all of our Air Force. We've lost all of our ability to project power. What were you thinking? And so I would suggest that when the guns stop firing, there will be a debate inside Iran. And that debate will either take the form of reformers looking to salvage what they can of the regime and negotiating something with the Americans. Um, or we could be headed for complete fauda. And it's just very hard to tell from the outside right now. Yes, no doubt there will be and are hardliners in the Revolutionary Guards, in the regime, in the Council of Elders, as it were. But when the smoke clears, I always remember what Hassan Nasrallah said back in 2006 after the Israel-Lebanon war then. He said, if I knew then what I know now, I'm not sure I would have started this. And I have to believe, all important politics in the Middle East, maybe everywhere, but I know in the Middle East, doesn't happen bukra. It happens bad bukra. Okay. So the day after they will say, Thawrahat Nasr, Samidun, we won, we blah, 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 blah. Bad bukra, there'll be an accounting. And people will be asking, where were you going? What have you been doing? Look what you've done to our country, not to mention our neighborhood. Yes, I find that very frightening possibility, because Iran's had many government changes over the centuries, but the geographic entity of Iran has basically stayed the same. And what I fear now is that when you have a country that is about the third the size of the United States, 90 million people, 60% of them Persians, but 40% Arabs, Azeris, Lurs, Baluchis, Kurds, if the center doesn't hold, the country won't implode, it could explode. And that would worry me a lot. That would be enormously destabilizing to the entire Gulf region and to the whole Middle East. Was a very good question, and that is part of Iran's strategy, is to engage in actions that will disrupt the flow of oil, drive the price of oil higher, create inflation in the United States, drive the American stock market down, because they think Trump, because they've seen in the past with the issue of tariffs, that Trump will chicken out. And that's really Iran's only hope. I'm not saying it's a wrong strategy. I'm saying it's too soon to tell. And so there's a logic to what they're doing if you were in Iran's situation. But I can't tell you it's going to work. I just don't know. The world has a lot of oil available. Right now, there's going to be a little shortage. But look, you disrupt the Straits of Hormuz, and you disrupt the flow of oil and gas, from Qatar and from the Persian Gulf exporting nations. You will create a very serious oil crisis. While they had all invested in anti-missile systems, fearing this, I think they were all surprised at the ferocity of the Iranian attacks, which were designed, like the attacks on oil tankers, to create pressure on Washington by getting Washington's closest Arab allies to scream uncle, as we say, to say we can't take this anymore, and go to Washington and say you have to stop. That was the logic, Iran, pressure Saudi Arabia, pressure Qatar, UAE, and get them to pressure Washington. But it's clear there was a debate inside Iran about this, because the Iranian president just today apologized, in effect, to the Gulf states, and then was forced to unapologize. So you can see the turmoil that must be going on inside. It was a very risky strategy, because they've now alienated all their GCC neighbors. Some, like Qatar, were quite close to Iran. I mean, had good, strong relations. Others, like the UAE and Saudi, Kuwait, less so. But they've alienated them. And that will cost them in the long run, I believe. And while these countries don't want to go to war with Iran, they think they're too frail, too weak to do that. They're not going to help Iran. And there's a lot of Iranian money offshore in all of these countries. Well, I hope not. I don't think so. I think if this Iranian regime falls, that will be a huge blow to Hezbollah. I look at the situation like this. Lebanon today, a country I care a lot about, it has the best, most, I think, hopeful government that it's had in a long, long time, with Prime Minister Nawaf Salam and President Joseph Aoun. I would love to see this government succeed. I think the Lebanese people, Sunni, Shiite, Christian, Druze, all would like to see this government succeed. But they've been taken hostage now by Hezbollah, which very clearly has put Iran's interests ahead of the interests of the Lebanese Shia community, who now had to all flee from the south in particular, and Lebanon in general. And that's a travesty. That's shameful. They're not protecting Lebanon anymore from Israel. They are inviting attacks from Israel. And I don't think it will change, though, until and unless the Shia community in Lebanon says to Hezbollah, "Khalas, finish, no more." Okay, and only if a counter movement within Hezbollah or within the Shia community stands up and says, "You do not represent us. You are not the source of our dignity or our political power. We are Lebanese. We want Lebanon to thrive, and you are not serving our interests." I think the first break has to happen within the Shia community, because it's very hard for any Lebanese government to simply send the military against Hezbollah and not potentially trigger fragmentation of the military. So I have a lot of sympathy with this government. I'm rooting for its success. I think they're good people. I think the Shia of Lebanon deserve better political representation. I don't really know. It isn't clear. Netanyahu is reacting the way he always reacts. Okay, we will show them. We're going to smash them and take the maximalist position. I don't think it's been helpful for the politics of the Lebanese government, frankly. At the same time, Netanyahu has his politics. So you get rockets into northern Israel, and then his opponents say, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" So The sooner we get to a ceasefire, to me, the sooner we get to elections in Israel, and the sooner I pray that Netanyahu is voted out of power, the better I think this region will be.